Come on in. It's the Sports Parlor Podcast, brought to you by betJACK.com. And now, please welcome the guys who know it all, Phil Taylor and Nick Pedone.
Welcome on in to the Sports Parlor Podcast presented by betJACK.com. I'm your host, Nick Pedone, joined as always along 2011 Cleveland Browns first-round pick, Phil Taylor. Phil, what's happening? Big week in the National Football League and a big week for our picks. You know I'm fired up.
You finally caught up.
So to give people a little peel behind the curtain, every week Phil and I go back and forth with our weekly pick segment. We pick every game in the National Football League. We pick these games right on the money line. This week, I ran the table all the way up until Monday Night Football. I was 13-0, lost Monday Night Football. I had the Cardinals. Phil had the Rams. So now we are tied 106, 64-1. We'll do our pick segment later in the show. First, we got a lot of other football to talk about. Our Browns coming off of a really nice win against the arch nemesis Baltimore Ravens. Cincinnati Bengals, another weird game for them where they couldn't get right. And then everything else around the National Football League, especially in this AFC, is kind of breaking our Browns' way. So we're going to throw this off, get you out of Week 14, get you into Week 15. We're going to kick it off to Phil's facts. Phil, give us your first fact this week.
First one, we got fair or foul. Fans booing at the games. They pay money. They pay money, you know. A lot of people pay more than others, you know, with season tickets and things like that. And some people are dedicated to teams, you know, the Cleveland fans. Like, I get it. You know, if I was a fan and I'm paying money and, you know what I'm saying, putting my all in the, you know, supporting the team and they coming out and playing lackluster, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to let them know. You know what I mean? But it comes to a point where they can boo all they want. Yeah, that shit doesn't mean anything to us. You know what I mean? But, like, the moment when people start being personal and not football related, then it's a problem.
Yeah. So
say what you want to say. As long as you don't say nothing personal, we cool.
It was definitely an interesting state of affairs there at First Energy Stadium on Sunday, man, because first drive of the game, Browns go 3 and out. I really didn't think Baker looked bad. He completed a couple passes. He had a drop pass, and then it was a punt, and the fans started booing with like 14 minutes still on the clock. I'm like, really? We're going to do this like in a divisional game? And then like the players seemed like they were a little bit upset after the game. You know, some of the players' wives have been going on social media all season long. And then Jedrick Wills, the Browns left tackle, put out there on his Instagram story, like, what if athletes went to normal people's jobs and started booing them? Like, boo, you're bagging these groceries slow. Boo, bag them faster.
True.
I feel like the fans in Cleveland, and we've talked about this before, we talked about it with Baker literally just a couple weeks ago, it's impossible because, like, the second that things go wrong, like, in this game was what encapsulated it all. Like, fans boo in all sports, all teams, but it's like, we really did it on the first drive. Like, you don't even let these dudes get settled in. And I don't understand, what are you trying to be miserable for? Like, I get what you're saying, that, like, you pay your tickets, you get your tickets, you pay for them, you work hard throughout the week to go to the game. It's a release on Sundays. But when you go on Sunday, don't you want to go have fun? Like, you want to sit in your seat and be miserable and boo the team after one drive? I guess I just don't understand that. Maybe
you gotta look at it from a fan standpoint. And a fan being in Cleveland, it's gonna be tough. You know, we haven't won a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough on them, you know, but you gotta take into consideration a lot of it is alcohol involved.
Yeah.
You know, so people are gonna be crazy anyway. But I mean, yeah, for you to be booing, and then was the first quarter they booed?
Yeah, first drive, opening drive of the game.
I mean, it's just being drunk.
Yeah, but I guess I don't relate to that.
But they're probably tired of it. You know what I mean? They're tired of it, and any little thing, they're gonna let you know. Like, you know.
It's tough. I don't know also what it really does. Because, like, again, maybe this comes from a place of me being soft, but, like, if I hear booing, I'm like Jedrick Wills. Like, man, they want to boo us? Yeah. Like, screw this. Like,
yeah, but that ain't going to, like, even though you hear booing, that ain't going to be like, I'm about to throw this game because they're booing. Nah, ain't nobody going to do that. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, it puts a little thought in the back of each player's mind, like, damn, these fans really like that. You know what I'm saying? We do our all for this city, and they're going to sit here and boo us in the first quarter.
And I guess,
what I mean? So,
yeah, that's where I come from. I know you come from that, school of thought as a player, and I've never been drunk at a game, literally because I was covering the team before I was old enough to drink. So, like, I was working the games. So, yeah, it's just so weird to me, man, that people do that. And it's like, as players, I see the work when I cover the team of how much work that goes into every week, and as media, we really see it because we're putting in just the same amount of work covering the damn thing, asking questions, doing stories, and then like the fans get in there, and the one thing that doesn't go right in the first drive, like people want to boo. Yeah. Just a little weird to me.
They're just fed up fans, and every team has a lot of fair weather fans.
Yeah.
And those fair weather fans, it can trickle over to the, the diehard fans.
Right.
But
yeah, it's not everybody.
You got to look at it both ways.
Yeah.
We're frustrated, like, as a player, just as much as the fans are frustrated. We want to win just as much as they want us to win.
Well, the good news is, Phil, they booed in during a win. So those fans really, they had no idea what they were doing because the team ended up winning. The Browns rallied.
They won, but it wasn't. I mean, they should have blown them out.
Yeah.
The fact that the Browns only won by 2 was terrible. I was pissed off in the fact that they didn't score anything in the second half.
Who do you put that on? Because now it's the pointing fingers game. Like
you letting up. You letting up off the gas. You got your foot on their throat the first half. Keep it there. Rip out the juggler.
Yeah, I mean, and
keep it there.
It's the Ravens. Like, this is your arch rival. Yeah. This is what the season is for. They're the first place team. You're playing.
It would have been, and if the Ravens would have came back and won, it would have been all bad. Like you think the fans was booing then,
bro?
Like, for real? Because I mean, and that just comes down to being able to finish. You got to suck it up and finish, and not scoring in the second half is. They can't go in the next week with that mentality.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Even though it was a win, as a player, that was damn near a loss for me. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be better than that in the second half. Because if you gonna do that, you ain't gonna make it in the playoffs.
Right? Yeah. We've seen it with this team, man. We've seen them do this last year all throughout that run. Like, all those games got way too close at the end. I'm with you. You're right there. I get not running up the score, but there's nothing wrong with being up three scores.
That's the Ravens.
Run it up. All right, well, that's enough Browns. We'll obviously pick our Browns at the end of the show in our pick segment. There was a lot going on. We've talked booing on this show before. We've also talked about this guy before, Phil. Throw us to your second fact this week.
We got Urban Meyer, in or out at the end of the season.
Boy.
I don't know. Because to be honest, I just feel, just off of what I know and his resume, he's a winner. And that's all he really knows coming from the college ranks. I know it's not the college ranks, but he's a winner. And if the story is true that, he called out his coaches, that's a little tough. Because at the end of the day, you hired those guys.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, you got to hold everybody accountable, including yourself. You know what I'm saying? He's a coach. I mean, I don't know if he's trying to light a fire under these guys, because I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence. And I felt what he was saying when he was like, he just wants to get this guy developed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be a head coach that has, the number 1 pick, great quarterback in college, can't win, and he just goes to waste.
Yeah.
On a sorry team.
Yeah.
And it's happened numerous times in different teams. So, I mean, I feel him on that. But once things start, because once you're in the NFL and you're on a team, what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. And now that these reports are coming out, I don't think he even really has a team anymore. If people are saying stuff to the media behind his back,
that's the ugliest part of it, right? And they're saying that now Trevor Lawrence is even like saying publicly to his boys and the people in his camp, like, this guy is nuts behind closed doors. Like, he really just doesn't have the respect. And it's tough for me because I agree with you, and I feel like a lot of Ohio people feel this way about Urban Meyer. Like, man, we saw what the Buckeyes did with him right here in our home state. And a lot of people thought that success could easily be replicated. And I think what feels bad for Urban is that he knew that this wasn't going to be easy and that it was a different challenge. And he wanted that. Like, he could have just chilled in the booth and done TV analyst stuff like we're doing. But he wanted the challenge. But there's a difference between wanting the challenge and then being a part of the challenge. Like, for example, I could enlist in the military right now and get shipped off to basic training, and I'm telling you right here, right now, I know that would be hard. I'm out of shape, and that would be hard. But when I got there, it'd be a whole new breed of hard like I have never experienced before. And I think that's exactly what Urban Meyer is going through in Jacksonville. Is he knew it was going to be this. It's this plus a little bit more, and maybe a lot of his old tactics, like firing up the coaches, firing up the players with arguments, and just with being a fire guy, it's not working. It's falling on deaf ears.
Yeah, it's tough, being with their record and losing, and it's tough, and I think it's tough on everybody. And to be honest, it's a chance he might not be there.
Yeah,
but if he is there, it shows that they really want him to succeed, and it might be true. Like, he's really a good coach, but he's trying to get people around him that, you know what I mean? So we'll see. By the end of the season, it's going to be either he gone or he going to be hiring some new, staff around him.
Yeah, something has to give there. It seems like it sucks when you mix the losing with, like, the toxic stories and stuff like this and the distractions. We talked about it last week with Cribs. So, yeah, definitely weird stuff going on in Jacksonville. And we'll just have to keep our finger on that and monitor how that unfolds. Phil, crazy unfootball-related thing happening this weekend in Florida. Throw it to the third fact this week.
We got Jake Paul versus Woodley. The odds are Paul minus 265, Woodley plus 210. What you going with?
Yeah, so this is crazy. These influencer boxing matches really taking off. I saw Jake Paul fight in Cleveland when he fought Woodley the first time. And I thought outside, Woodley had a really nice jab where he, like, sent him into the ropes. But other than that, like, Jake kind of outboxed him. So I'm going to pick Jake Paul. He's a bigger guy. Like, he's legitimately, like, 6'2", 6'3", and Woodley's small. He's, like, my height, like 5'9". So it's just tough in a sport like that where, like, reach plays so much advantage. I'm going to go Jake Paul if I had to put a bet here on this. What about you? How do you feel about this whole influencer boxing thing? Because you grew up in an age where, like, boxing, combat sports really started to rise with, like, the UFC and stuff, and now we just have these guys on YouTube that want to fight. Do you take him seriously?
Trained, though.
Do you take him seriously?
Jake Paul, yeah, because he actually trained.
Right.
And just because he's a YouTuber, and like everybody, he's a YouTuber or whatever. All right, yeah, he does YouTube. That's what he does to make money. But he's been training to fight. Even though he wasn't a fighter coming up and did it professional, you can train hard to be whatever you want. And he's been training hard and working hard. So, I mean, I feel as though he's serious about it. So I would go with Jake Paul as well. But Woodley, he's a pro, obviously. But, like, size difference, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I wouldn't see Jake Paul calling out the Bronx Bomber or anybody like that.
Right.
Somebody his size. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll call out Woodley because Woodley's, 3-4 inches shorter than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, about 10 years older than him.
Exactly. He playing it right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He making money. He's a businessman at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's entertaining, and that's what sports is about. That's what sports betting is about. Is just being entertained and finding little ways to get an advantage. So I'm like you, like, this kid is literally riding a high right now of his life that, like, he is one of the, like, Google's most searched athletes this year, like Jake Paul. So he's like doing something that's so unheard of. So
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really consider he kind of athlete. I mean, he just...
It's not really an... I
mean, because I don't really know his history, what he did in high school, you know what I'm saying?
He didn't play, so he really, I don't know either. I don't think he did, but his brother, Logan, who fought Floyd, which that was like... He was like an all-pro linebacker over at Westlake High School, and then he had a full-ride wrestling scholarship to OU.
Yeah.
So he's a little bit more athletic.
Yeah. Even though his brother did it, he was right there training with him. So, yeah. I mean, they got sports backgrounds. So.
Yeah, they do. If you could fight any celebrity, current, former, influencer, do you have somebody in mind that you would do a like celebrity influencer boxing match with or no?
Me?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, probably old fat boy from the Fan that got fired.
Oh, who from the morning show at 92.3?
Yeah, the one that was talking about my guns.
Chuck Booms?
Yeah, his fat ass.
Wow. Phil Taylor, Chuck Booms boxing match?
It was supposed to go down in the community lot. Ain't nobody set it up.
Really? So take me back. So what'd he do?
Well, I posted something. I was cleaning my pistols or whatever, and this is while I was playing with the Browns, and I guess he was doing like a show or something, and he said my guns look like a gun that would you would hold up a liquor store with. I'm like, cool. But you know what I'm saying? We got guys like Joe Thomas. They post hunting pictures. Don't say nothing about that. But as soon as I post something, so it is what it is. People got, their little ways. So
yeah, man, could you imagine you versus Chuck Boom's Muni Lot pre-Browns game? That'd be hilarious.
I imagine I beat the dogs.
I mean, he can't be that big. He's probably like my height. So just height-wise, you got.
He looked like Peter Griffin from Family Guy.
Come on. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to throw this together a couple years removed. That's hilarious.
He don't want that smoke.
Not about it.
He don't want that smoke.
I don't really have anybody either. I'm taking Jake Paul for our bet picks.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's get into our weekly bet picks. NFL money line. It's tied up 106, 64, and 1 are the records. Phil and I, speaking of boxing, going toe-to-toe in our weekly picks. Let's do it.
From big parlays to picks on the money line, here are Phil's and Nick's picks of the week.
All right, welcome into the weekly pick segment presented by betJACK.com, where Phil and I go through every game this week and pick right on the money line. We'll mention spreads, but for our official records, the only thing that we're taking into account is money line. Phil, no bye weeks this week, so we got a ton of games to sift through. Buys are done. We'll go a little bit quicker than usual, and we start with Thursday night football at SoFi Stadium. Love whenever this stadium gets primetime action as the Chargers and the Chiefs go toe-to-toe in a primetime matchup. Two young quarterbacks, Herbert versus Mahomes. Mahomes gets the upper hand in Vegas, though, -3.5 betting favorite.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs, man. I think they're starting to get it together and starting to get that confidence back. They had a couple bumps in the road in mid-season. And, I think they're starting to get their thing on the road. Chargers have been kind of up and down the last few weeks, a few injuries. I don't know if, Eckler might be there this week or not. So,
yeah.
Coming off and this will be a short week too, so it's a good chance he really might not be back. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Chiefs in this one. I'm going to take the 3.5.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs, too. I love this 3.5 because we saw what Kansas City was capable of offensively. And I love that, when you listen, not to toot our own horn, but when you listened a couple weeks ago to, these sports betting podcasts, these NFL podcasts, they were like, are the Chiefs broken? Have Patrick Mahomes been figured out? And we always kept it so level-headed. They're going to get their footing. They got all the best players. They got Andy Reid as their coach. They're going to figure it out. We weathered the storm, and there's no reason for me to vary now in my picks with that. So I'm going to pick Kansas City. I'm going to pick this 3.5 as well. I think this should be a really good game. I'd expect LA to try to keep it as close as they can, but the Chiefs just have too much star power. I love this game, and I love the 3.5. I think that's juicy because
that's easy.
all they have to do is win by more than field goal. You win your money.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll move on there. Big game as it pertains to the AFC North. The Baltimore Ravens back at the Big Purple Crab Cake. They'll host Aaron Rodgers, the bad man, and the Green Bay Packers, who are also hitting on all cylinders. It's possible, not likely, that the Ravens could be without Lamar Jackson. We don't know. We probably won't know until closer to game time with Lamar Jackson's ankle. Nonetheless, as we sit here and record this right now, the Packers 2.5-point favorites in this game.
That's it?
That's it, bro. 2.5. So they don't know.
I'm going with them, though, but, like, because who going to check Devontae Adams in that secondary? They got nobody back there. Nobody. And how they played against the Browns in the first half, and with Boykin, is it Boykin back there, or was the quarterback?
Huntley, Tyron Huntley.
Yeah, I get it. They used to have Boykin. But, yeah, I mean, he was running for his life. You know, they were making a lot of mistakes, but I just don't think they can be able to stop, the offense of Green Bay. So I'm going to go with Green Bay, and I'm definitely taking the 2.5.
Yeah, I'm going with Green Bay, too. This is an easy game for me to pick, taking the 2.5. Phil, we've done one thing in this show thus far right after we've done this, and that's we picked the Baltimore Ravens to lose. So if they lose this game, and then at the end of this show, we pick the Browns to win, and the Browns win their game in Week 15, first place in the AFC North.
Yeah.
How the turntables, as old Michael Scott would say in The Office. We'll move on there. Give us both Green Bay. Come on, Aaron Rodgers. Come on, Packers. Let's get that done. We'll move on to Indianapolis, where the Colts will host the New England Patriots. Patriots are red hot, and this is a surprising spread to me, as the Colts, even though they're at home at Lucas Oil, -1.5. So Vegas showing the Colts big love. I'm not falling for it, though. I'm taking Mac Jones and the Patriots. They're humming on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take that. And I just feel as though, what's his name? He in his mode. I feel like last year with Tom winning the Super Bowl, that kind of, you know what I'm saying, a little jab. You know what I mean? But I feel like Belichick, man, yeah, you can't. He in that little groove. I'm definitely going with the Patriots.
Well, now there's the national story, right? And I love that we don't do this. Is that the headline is, well, could this be a Brady-Belichick Super Bowl, where the Bucs look really good down there in Tampa and had a walk-off touchdown in overtime against the Bills. Meanwhile, the Patriots seem like a damn lock to win their division, and potentially the AFC could run through New England. So
that would be dope. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it definitely would be a nice little, patch for NFL history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just, I don't think it'd become a rivalry, but it definitely would be I would like to see it.
I would like to see it too. I really would. And I think the Patriots are probably good enough, but I don't know. I think come playoff time, maybe just having that inexperience.
It'll show how great both of them are.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. That's so true. That's literally the only take to have, is they would show how great both of them are.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's move past that game. I got the Patriots. You got the Patriots?
Yeah.
All right, cool. We'll move on there to Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. We haven't talked about the Steelers as a reality much lately at all, but the Steelers will be back at home, welcoming the Tennessee Titans, who come in to Heinz Field as 1.5-point favorites. That's something that hasn't happened in years past, where opposing teams are favorites in Heinz Field.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel as though I want to say the Titans, but Tomlin be pulling some stuff out of the hat sometimes too, though. You never know. But yeah, if the Titans can stop, I like the Titans' defense. That's one thing that has been keeping them alive in games, is their defense, and that defensive line especially. So if they can stop Najee and get the Big Ben, I'm gonna go with it. And I want them to lose anyway, because I want these Browns to go first. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Titans, and I'm going to take the 1.5.
I'm going to go ahead and pick the Titans and the 1.5, too. I think my reasoning is a little different than yours, and that the big splash free agency move for Tennessee was Julio. this offseason, and he hasn't done much. He finally had a game last week where they were looking his way, and that was his first game off the IR. So if they could get Julio Jones more involved against what is still a formidable Steelers D, they'll be fine, because I know as a fact that the Tennessee defense could get after Big Ben.
Oh, yeah.
And stopping Najee is a little bit more difficult, but that Steelers offense just doesn't scare me the same way that it used to. But offensively for the Titans, if they could get Julio in a groove, man, this will be a long night for Pittsburgh. I'm going to take the Tennessee in the 1.5.
Oh, yeah.
We'll move on. Big spread. Rams at home. SoFi Stadium. 6.5-point favorite over Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the Rams pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Rams. I'm gonna take the 6.5 as well.
Wow.
I think they can do that because Seattle, man, I don't know. I think it's just the defense that's holding them back right now.
And it's weird, right? So for this game, you have a Seattle team where their defense doesn't look as it usually does, and then you have a Rams team. We saw it in primetime, hitting their stride at the right time. Matt Stafford, OBJ clicking, Cooper Kupp is clicking. They finally feel like they've shaken the cobwebs without Robert Woods.
Yeah.
And then they also have Darrell Henderson out last week, and they still found a big way. So I'm going to take the Rams. I think this is just like the perfect storm in favor of Los Angeles, and like the worst possible outcome for Seattle, where like their D is struggling and the Rams offense is clicking. I like the Rams here. We'll move forward. Division matchup. Washington football team coming off an ugly loss against the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles are at home. Philly, 3.5-point favorite against your football team.
I'm going football team. It was a tough loss last week to the the Cowboys.
Oh, come on. They're leading the division. They're going to win the division.
We'll see about all that. And, but I just feel like the defense kind of, came to play a little bit, but they just got to finish, just like the Browns and the Ravens. They got to be able to finish, and they tried to finish, it just ran out of time. But I'm gonna go with Washington this week. I'm gonna go with Washington.
Man, Washington, they don't know how Heineke is, because he got knocked out of that game with the injury. Whereas Philly's coming off a bye. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Eagles. So here's our first one that we're going to differ. This is a big matchup for the diehard Sports Parlor fans that are going to be following our picks. I got Philly here. You got the football team. I don't really have Philly for any reason other than I don't know Washington's quarterback position, and Philly damn sure better be rested off this bye week and better ready to put up some points. Jalen Hurts. So I'm going to take the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. This could put me in first place of our picks. Let's move on. We'll head to New York as the Giants, for whatever reason, will play host to the Dallas Cowboys. It seems like the Giants season is just dead in the water. It's really a disappointing all around there. They picked up Kenny Galladay. They had Jason Garrett, who's now been fired, and Daniel Jones. It was supposed to be, the big third year out of a young quarterback, take the next step. That didn't happen. Whereas the Cowboys, coming off another big win, they look good, even with Zeke still getting his footing back. Pollard out due to a foot. Cowboys, 10.5-point favorites.
You taking that too?
I'm taking the Cowboys. I don't know that I could take that 10, though. In any game, man, that's tough. That's tough to do. And we talk about it, I feel like, every week. The Giants are so talented defensively to be this bad. It's like, how are you this bad defensively, where it's like there's dudes on that defense that, like, I would take on the Browns. Like, if I was starting an organization, I would have my eye on some players from the Giants. So I don't know. I fear them. Not enough to pick them to win the game, though. I got the Cowboys.
I got the Cowboys as well. I'm not going to take that 10.5, though.
Yeah. Dude, those big, like, double-digit spreads just scare me.
Even though it's the Giants, it's still a divisional match, though. So you got to take that into consideration. I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
I'm going with the Cowboys, too. I feel like you know, and this could be one of those games with the spread where, like, the Cowboys get such a big lead and then they kind of take the foot off the gas, and then, like, the Giants only lose by 10. Yeah. It's like, all right, well, then you just, even though they still lost by two scores, you lost your bet because they you know, had some garbage time touchdown. So that's why I don't like touching those, especially, like you said, in division. I got the Cowboys for our picks. Let's head to Detroit. Jeez. The Lions are 13.5-point underdogs at home to the Cardinals. That's just bad. So disrespectful.
That's bad. I got Cards.
I got the Cards.
I don't even know why you should have known that. You should just be like, Cards.
All right, next pick. we'll head to Tampa. Out there in Florida, Buccaneers 11.5-point favorites against the New Orleans Saints. In prime time, Tom Brady is pretty solid, as always, but the spread in this game becomes the next big question. 11.5. Again, divisional matchup. Saints D, not that bad.
They didn't look bad last week, and I'm definitely not touching that 11.5 or whatever. I'm gonna go with Bucks, but I'm not touching the spread.
I'm going with the Bucks money line as well.
You going with 11.5?
I'm gonna take the 11.5. And here's why: the Bucks' best offensive weapons in Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, in that walk-off win against a formidable Buffalo D, they didn't even really have, like, that phenomenal of performances. Brady rushed for a touchdown. Brady got Evans 1 touchdown. And then he got Perriman on the walk-off touchdown. Yeah. So if he could get all of these guys involved, like, Tampa's so stacked. And if there's anyone that I trust to cover an 11.5-point spot, it's going to be Brady. I'm glad our records don't matter when it comes to these spreads and these records. I'm taking the 11.5.
All right, cool.
All right, we will head to Jacksonville. The Jaguars will be at home, 3.5-point favorite against the Houston Texans.
Battle at the bottom of the barrel.
Could Urban Meyer get on track against the Houston Texans in this game at home?
Man, we got to pick.
I say no. I'm going to pick the Texans in this game. Davis Mills look good, man. Their new quarterback with Tyrod Taylor hurt. It's the Tyrod Taylor curse, kind of. Like, every place he leaves, they get a new quarterback. It happened in Buffalo.
I'm going Jacksonville, and this is going to be my lock.
Wow.
Because if Urban loses the game, he definitely done after the season. You can't beat the Texans, you out.
All right. You got Jacksonville as your lock. I got the Texans. All right, we'll move past it. We'll head to Miami, Florida, Hard Rock Stadium. The Dolphins still in the hunt. They need a lot to go their way, but let's call them for what they're worth. They're in the hunt, and they're 7.5-point favorites against the Jets. I'm not picking the Jets anymore at all. I got the Dolphins in this game.
I got Dolphins as well. That's an easy one.
Cool. We'll move forward. We will head to Levi Stadium in San Francisco, where the 49ers, almost called them the Giants, that's their baseball team, coming off a big win, huge win really, on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to try to keep that up against the Atlanta Falcons. I'll spare you the analysis. I'm going to pick the 49ers. I think Shanahan's got something brewing again out there.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely, man, Falcons so inconsistent. I'm definitely going to San Francisco, man. It's just I don't know what the Falcons are doing, man. I mean, if this was the beginning of the year, maybe it would have been different. You know what I mean? But I'm definitely going with San Francisco.
Atlanta coming off a win. That was one of those that I got to kind of flex a little bit. That I picked that one right. You had Carolina, I had Atlanta. So man, that felt good. But I'm going to take the 49ers. We'll move past that. Another big spread. This is like the week of big spreads, I feel like. Orchard Park, Buffalo Bills, 11.5-point favorites against the Carolina Panthers. Phil, the Panthers now are saying that Sam Darnold could become an option again for them at starting quarterback throughout these final couple of weeks. To me, that
I thought they said they would sprinkle in a little Sam, but right now there's going to be Cam and P.J. Walker.
Bro, to me, that reeks of a coach that has no idea what he's doing.
Or a coach, I mean, because I ain't really, you know what I'm saying, follow him while he was at Baylor too much. Ever since Browse left, I kind of was like, yeah, whatever. But I don't know. In that predicament, I don't know why you just don't ride. Like, you brought Cam in like he was going to be the Lord and Savior. And now you know what I'm saying, you got a 3 QB system now. That ain't good. That's bad for business.
I've seen it a bunch. Being a Browns fan, never seen it work. So good luck to you, Carolina. I'm taking Buffalo in this game.
Definitely.
All right, we'll move on. Here's another cold matchup in primetime. Chicago Bears, Justin Fields, 3.5-point underdogs against the Minnesota Vikings. Matt Nagy back with the Bears. Still not fired for everybody listening at home. It'll be Matt Nagy's Bears in this game, and I don't know who to pick here.
I'm going Vikings, man. I'm going to go Vikings.
I think I probably will.
Yeah, I don't know. My boy Jakeem Grant was going off for the Bears, though, them kick returns. But, yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to stop cooking them boys. Yeah. And if Kirk can put together a great game and not be inconsistent and getting that ball to Jefferson, if Thielen's not still out, so we'll see. If Thielen's back, definitely win. But, I mean, I still think they're going to win without him. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Minnesota.
Yeah, I still like Minnesota in this game even without Thielen. I hate that I say that, though. Yeah. This is a huge matchup for my fantasy playoffs. I'm going against the dude I'm going against has Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. Jeez. I'm like, against the Bears. Like, that's a weird first-round matchup, but I'm going to take the Vikings for the sense of our picks. All righty, let's get into our Ohio teams and our Ohio matchups. All right, we'll kick it off from Denver. Mile High, the Broncos, 1.5-point favorites against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, obviously, the Bengals have had their struggles these last couple weeks. Really, ever since the Browns beat them in Paul Brown Stadium, they haven't seemed all the way right on either side of the football. But maybe that's just who this Bengals team is. Meanwhile, the Broncos, we know what they are. They're a team trying to find their way in the AFC as well. Broncos 1.5-point favorite. What do you make of this game?
This is a toss-up. You know, Broncos are definitely coming off of a good win and a little added motivation. You know, dedicating things to Demaryius Thomas and all that. And yeah, it'd definitely be a toss-up. But I think the Bengals will pull it out.
I think the Bengals should be able to pull it out too. If the Bengals lose this game, you hitting the panic button on Cincinnati, like is that kind of a white flag moment for them?
Yeah, I mean with the Browns right there, yeah, you know, it'll definitely, for them at least. I mean, I wouldn't care.
Me neither. But yeah, for them, I agree with you. It would definitely be kind of like a panic button thing. I'm going to pick them to win this game, especially, again, like when actual sports betting gets here in Ohio, this is something I'd be intrigued to put a couple bucks on just because they're the underdogs in this matchup, like plus 1.5. If they win outright, you win your bet, no questions asked on this spread. So I definitely like Cincy here. I think this is a favorable matchup for them. The thing that drives me nuts about the Bengals is they got to run the football, man. In the games that they run Joe Mixon, he looks so good, not only for my fantasy team, but like for their team and their offense. It opens things up for Burrow and all those the zillion receivers that they have there. But when they don't run them, it just gets weird. And then Burrow's getting sacked 100,000 times. And even with no Vaughn, like, the Broncos could get to the quarterback, especially against the sus O-line.
Yeah, I mean, they still got Chubb and those guys out there. So, I mean, it's not by a long shot a blowout on any side of the ball, right? You know, any team. So, but I'm gonna go with the Bengals on this one now.
Same. The act we've all been waiting for. The season is still alive for the 7-6 Cleveland Browns, who will head to Las Vegas, Nevada, 6.5 point favorite.
That's it. These dudes just got 49 hung on them.
This game is in Cleveland. So Spencer, who works on our show, has the Raiders in the home team slot. This is in Cleveland. Okay. Only 6.5, and they had 40 plus hung up.
Yeah, I'm going Cleveland for sure.
Your lock, Phil, was the Jaguars. Look at me. My lock is the Cleveland Browns minus 6.5. I got the Browns winning this game by more than a touchdown, a complete game of football. We haven't seen it since the win against Cincinnati, where they put together a great showing in all facets of the game. Offense, defense, and special teams, because those drop punts have been driving me crazy. So all you got to do is get after Derek Carr. He gets sacked a ton. He's like one of the league leaders in getting sacked. This defense for the Browns looks so good. They're everything that you told me leading up in the first couple weeks that we did this show that they had the potential to become.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's easy. I mean, they just got to go out there and perform, man. And coaches coach, players perform. Go out there and do your job, man. Don't try to do nobody else's job. Just do your job, and everything gonna work out right.
How many points would the Browns need to have a lead for you to feel comfortable in this game? Whereas, like last week, I was not feeling comfortable after halftime, where they almost blew it. What would be your ideal score?
It ain't over till the clock hits 0-0-0. And that's just to be honest, you can't get comfortable, and to be honest, I think they got comfortable last game with that lead. You can't get comfortable, and it shows. If you get comfortable, look how they almost came back. You know what I mean? You can't get comfortable, even though you're up 24-0. Make it 50-0. You know what I mean? Then 50-0, I'm comfortable. With 5 minutes left. 50, yeah, I'm good.
All right, let's lock in the predictions. 50-0 Browns. Let's go. Come on, Browns. Stay alive. A win in this game. We mentioned it at the beginning of the show. A win in this game. And a Baltimore Ravens loss to the bad man Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
It's the perfect setup.
Your Cleveland Browns are in first place of the AFC North. And boy, would this be a show next week against previewing those Green Bay Packers. So thank you guys so much for listening to the Sports Parlor Podcast. This has been a ton of fun. We'll update you guys on the rivalry of our pick segment per usual next week. Make sure to subscribe, Apple Pods, Spotify, also YouTube. Make sure to pound that subscribe button, hit the like, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for watching another episode of the Sports Parlor Podcast, and we'll see you right back here next Thursday morning.
Peace.